Yo, what is good, YouTube, and welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we are going to be doing episode number 3 of I Build Your Teams, the series where I build my viewers' teams into the best possible teams for my team unlimited and or competitive play. If you want to be involved in a future episode of this series, make sure you follow my Twitter. Link is always down in the description below, and be on the lookout for a tweet about this series every single Friday night, and drop your team on that tweet to have a chance to be involved in a future episode. One other thing before we hop into this video, if you haven't, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 2,500 subscriber mark on the channel. Less than 200 subscribers away. I would really appreciate your support if you do subscribe if you haven't already. But without further ado, let's hop right into it and check out first team from today, which comes in from Boo Gaming, who says he's about 400k, likes to run and play defense, pretty badged out from playing it in team this weekend. I know he's playing it in team, and congratulations on your first round MTM dub. Actually saw that earlier tonight. But okay, 400k. Walt and Van Vliet, totally cool. I'm cool with this. You got a defensive point guard and you got an offensive guy off the bench. Wade and Richmond, not bad. I may come back to the shooting guard position, but we'll see. TJ Warren and ML Carr. I like ML Carr a lot. TJ Warren, not a huge fan of at this point. Gus Gerard and Glenn, super solid. And then Dikembe and Serge is also super solid. So looking at this squad, the first thing I will say is I think TJ Warren is your weakest link. And the way that I would upgrade TJ Warren is swapping him out for a guy like Amethyst Kawhi Leonard. If you want to pick up a badged Kawhi or badge out a Kawhi, I think that would be a really nice upgrade for your squad. Next, the one other upgrade with 400k, it depends on what you want to do with your team. But actually, I say that. You know what I would do? One other upgrade for this team, sell Dwayne Wade, move ML Carr to the starting 2. You plug in Kawhi here, move Gus Gerard to your backup 4, or even move Glenn Robinson to your backup 3, and then pick up an Amethyst Josh Smith. It'll save you MT and make your team overall better, I think. Picking up that Josh Smith and then selling the Dwayne Wade, putting ML Carr as your starting 2, he can be your lock. And then off the bench, you can have Glenn and Josh. You can put Josh on ball, put Glenn on the 4. Things like that to make your team really, really solid. That's probably the direction I would go, would be picking up Kawhi Leonard and Josh Smith. And those are probably the only 2 upgrades that I'd make right now. Otherwise, save your MT and see what we get next week. Next team today comes in from Floki. He's a community goat. If y'all don't follow Floki on Twitter, y'all make sure go show him some love. Floki 5000. He's always dropping tips and help for the 2K community. So y'all make sure y'all go show him some love if you don't. But he has Kyrie, D Brown. This D Brown card, when Eva, is actually super solid. David Thompson, Gary Harris, who's actually a very solid card. I don't know how good this David Thompson card is, in all honesty. Andrew Wiggins, Kelly Chapuka, TJ Warren, Rui Hachimura, Serge Ibaka, Draymond Green, Rudy Gobert. So the first thing I will say is I don't love TJ Warren. The easiest way to upgrade, I think, this is similar to what I recommended for the last team, which would be picking up a guy like Josh Smith. I think you could pick up Josh Smith, start him at the 4, and then have Rui or Draymond off the bench as your backup 4 and Rudy Gobert as your backup 5. I don't like Draymond at center that much. Or you could just do a straight swap, put Draymond at the 4, put Rudy at the back at 5, take TJ Warren out. I think that would also be an upgrade, but I'd probably go the Josh Smith route and pick him up, put him at that 4, and then run Draymond or Ruby as your backup 4, and then Gobert as your backup 5 for now. Otherwise, I think maybe you can eventually look to replace a guy like David Thompson or Kelly Chapuka. Whether you're doing that with picking up a guy like Donovan Mitchell or Jason Richardson, I'd probably lean Donovan Mitchell, I think. Maybe start Gary Harris and bring Mitchell off the bench, something like that, to replace Thompson at some point. Otherwise, I mean, you're level 36 as well, so I wouldn't stress picking up anybody to replace Chapuka because you'll have Carmelo in the next few days. You can plug Carmelo in at the starting 3 and bring Wiggins off the bench. But really, I think the only important upgrade is getting rid of this TJ Warren card. I'm just not a big fan of the card, and I think that would definitely be a nice upgrade for you to make. Next team today comes in from my guy Fryan. Everyone's bad. He gets Josh Smith playing backup center instead of Ibaka, and Cam Reddish at the backup 3. So Cam Reddish over Sean Elliott, I 100% agree with. Fred VanVleet, Dame Lillard, 30k. He put Josh Smith in at the back of 5 instead of Ibaka. I'm not opposed to you doing that. The thing I will say is I know you don't love Ibaka. I've talked to Fryan. He's not a big fan of this Ibaka card, but I would still probably put Ibaka in at the back as one of your last 3 players, so you can put him in at the 5 and slide Josh Smith to the 4 if you're getting pounded on the inside and struggling on the boards, because as much as Ibaka's not a great interior big, he does have a couple of inches and some of those interior badges and rebounding badges that a guy like Josh Smith does not have. So I may recommend still making sure you have Ibaka in your lineup somewhere so you can plug him in if you want, if you find yourself in a situation where you feel like you need the size. But otherwise, I think that's a super solid squad. You got a great budget squad going for you. I love the starting lineup especially, and then having Josh Smith off the bench is super nice. Jason Richardson is a card I'm pretty high on. Damian Lillard is still a super solid budget point guard. At some point, I'd probably try to get a guy like Kyrie Irving because he's free, or even maybe a Stephon Marbury to play the point guard position instead of Dame. One of those guys might be a slight upgrade, but I think you're doing pretty good in all honesty. And with only 30 KMT, I think you would be best suited to really try to save your MT, try to save up some MT so you can pick up a little bit more star power for your squad at some point. Next team today comes over from Selin. He plays PNR. He's got Josh Smith badged out as backup center with 100k MT, and he 3 hunts. I do know he 3 hunts. Kyrie and Fred, super solid. ML and Dale, super solid. Kawhi and LeBron, super solid. Glenn and Gus, fine. And then Wilt and Josh off the bench, perfect. And then you have Serge Ibaka, which is what I just recommended for those last teams. Make sure you have that center in your last 3, so you can put him in if you need to. But I don't mind running Josh at the back of 5 again. This is another team that, very similarly to France, I don't think needs a lot of upgrades. You have great point guards, you have great shooting guards, great small forwards, great power forwards, and good centers. Like, I don't think you're missing anything on this team. I might rearrange it slightly. Like, I might put LeBron at the 4 and Glenn Robinson at the backup 3. But I don't think that's a necessity. It's really up to you and what you're comfortable with. But you have a lock off the bench. I see what you're doing here with LeBron off the bench as a lock. And then you have 2 locks in your starting lineup, ML or Kawhi, whoever you want to put on ball. Whereas if you put Glenn on the bench with Gus, you don't really have a lock off the bench. So I don't dislike what you're doing here. I think you have definitely a good strategy. And with 100 KMT, again, I'm not going to actually recommend any changes to this team. I think this team is super solid. And I don't think there's anything that you need to change right now. Really good team. This is the way that I recommend building a team. He's got a lot of free cards, not a lot of expensive cards at all. I mean, he spent, what, 20k on Fred VanVleet, 45k on Kawhi, and a bunch of MT on LeBron, but those are the only 3 auctionable cards in his squad, and then Josh Smith as well. But he has a bunch of 3 budget cards, and Fred VanVleet, Kawhi, and Josh Smith, and then a guy like LeBron, who's a top card in the game and very expensive. But I think he's done a really good job of building his team around that with guys who are token rewards, triple threat rewards, draft rewards, unlimited rewards, all that stuff. And that is the way that I recommend building a team. This is a really, really well-built squad. Next team today comes in from my guy Hero. He's replacing Patty Mills with the Aaron. Definitely a good upgrade to do. 27k here. Gary Harris, make sure you evo this card. He's not hard to evo at all. Definitely just make sure you get that done. This Josh Giddey card, I don't think he's very good. I would do his challenge and then get rid of him. Or unless you're not doing XP, which it doesn't look like you're doing XP. But Karl-Anthony Towns is good at the center position. Dame is cool. You're getting De'Aaron Fox as well off the bench, which is cool. I might lean the Fred VanVleet direction over De'Aaron Fox personally, but again, I think that one's really up to you depending on what you want to do with your squad. Cam Reddish is super cool. Gus Gerard is good as well. I'd recommend trying to grind for ML Carr if you possibly can in triple threat. I think he'd be a big upgrade at that shooting guard position, give you a lock in your starting lineup, and then you can bring Gary Harris off the bench. He's a much better card than LaMelo. Darius Miles is a good option. Karl-Anthony Towns and Wendell Carter Jr. are both very solid options. And then you need another power forward, and that's again where I would recommend a guy like Josh Smith. I think Josh Smith, you plug him into your starting power forward position, bring Darius Miles off the bench, your team is looking super solid. You make a upgrade at the backup point guard position, whether that's Fred VanVleet, Stephon Marbury, or De'Aaron Fox, and you make an upgrade at that power forward position with Josh Smith and then Darius Miles off the bench. Sell Worthy, sell Giddey. At some point, if you can, try to get ML Carr as well and sell LaMelo. But those upgrades, those small upgrades, will definitely make a difference in your squad. Second to last team in this video, he has close to 200 KMT. He's going budget squad and defense to tank for MT. So I don't dislike the idea of running a budget squad and trying to build your MT up earlier. What I do dislike is the players that you've chosen to build around for your budget squad. And this isn't intended to be rude at all. Bojan Bogdanovic is fine. Pascal Siakam is fine. James Worthy's okay as well. Everybody else, it's a bunch of cards that just aren't that good. Like Baron Davis, Kevin Martin, Kerr Connick, Ben Gordon, Roy Hibbert, Dikembe Mutombo. Honestly, I would sell all of them. I hope that doesn't come across as harsh. I might even sell James Worthy and Siakam as well. I'm going to actually pull up 2KDB, and I'm just going to build you a squad real quick because I think that is the easiest way to do this. And I'm just going to build a 8, 9, 10-man roster that you can probably build a 200 KMT that you will have a lot of success with. Fred VanVleet at the starting point guard, and then a guy like Damian Lillard is your backup point guard. Or even you could go somewhere cheaper than Damian Lillard. There may not be a great cheap backup point guard right now, but who is he running at point guard? I mean, even a Damian Lillard would definitely be a good upgrade over Fred, or maybe a Stephon Marbury. I don't know. Point guard position is important. Put some guys there. At the shooting guard position, you have Kevin Martin, Ben Gordon. You'd be better off with Duncan Robinson, who's a Sapphire shooting guard, can get the job done. Definitely a solid card. And then a guy like Gary Harris. Make sure you evo Gary Harris. He becomes a really, really good card. And then you go small forward position. Right now you got Worthy and Bojan. Bojan is fine. We'll put Bojan at the backup. And then at the starter, we'll go Cam Reddish. Power forward position, go Josh Smith and Darius Miles. And then center position, go Karl-Anthony Towns and Artis Gilmore. Something like this. You build this 10-man team, sell everybody else who's not on this team. You build this team right here. It's not going to cost you all your MT, and you have a really good budget squad all of a sudden. And now you can work on saving your MT and have a squad that is decent enough to get the job done as well, instead of a lot of these guys who I don't really recommend and think are very good cards. So hopefully that does help you out. Sorry for the tangent there. And then final squad of the video comes in from my guy D-Rod. He says all of his players are badged, and he has 600k MT right now. So with a bunch of badged players, the thing that I will say is I don't think you're going to want to replace most of these guys. That being said, I see one area that I would upgrade, and that area is the shooting guard. I don't know. I think Kobe is absolutely exceptional. As much as I like Mitch Richmond, I think upgrading to Kobe would be a good idea. And what I will also recommend is sliding Ron Boone to your starting point guard position, bringing Kobe in here at the 2, and then bringing Walt and Donovan off the bench as your 1 and your 2, because that allows you to start Kobe and have a lock in your starting lineup with Kobe. And then off the bench, you have a lock in Kawhi, a really good defensive point guard in Walt, and then Donovan Mitchell isn't quite as much of a liability next to a shorter point guard. So I see what you're doing here with Walt and Donovan together, and I agree with it 100%, but I would probably look to start Kobe and Ron and then bring Walt and Donovan off the bench. Probably take Mitch Richmond out of your lineup. As good as the card is, I think at this point you would be better off with 600k upgrading to a guy like Kobe. Finally, besides that, again, I'm going to recommend replacing Draymond Green with Josh Smith. Badge out Josh Smith a little bit, like give him quick first step, a couple other badges, maybe a bailout, things like that, and he's going to be a really, really good option for you. Otherwise, your team is great. You got the 2 best centers in the game, in my opinion. Point guards are solid. Your shooting guards are great. Small forward and power forward is super solid. Just Josh Smith, Kobe Bryant, you'll be good. Great squad right here. So that is going to do it for this video. A lot of phenomenal teams in this video. Hopefully I was able to help some of y'all out though with some new suggestions. And if I didn't get to your team today, for one, make sure you drop your team under the tweet that I put out next Friday night for this series. And also, if you want, just feel free to drop your team down in the comments below. I'll try to give y'all some suggestions if I can. One other thing, I will be streaming a tournament, actually 2 tournaments, basically all day tomorrow. So when y'all see this video, there's a very good chance that I will be live on Twitch. If you want to pull up, if you've stayed to the end of the video, you want to pull up to the Twitch stream tomorrow, feel free to do that. I would really appreciate it. I will be live. My link is always in the description below. So if you do enjoy the video, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And I will be back with more 2K content very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. Peace.